Did you remember to watch the movie?
I just finished it literally 10 minutes ago. My analysis is complete. Hello, friends, and welcome to User Friendly, the weekly podcast that's video where we talk about our favorite stuff on the web, all things geek, and technology that we love. I'm your co-host, Erfan Elijah, and I'm here with my friend,
Roberto Hoyos,
owner of
Throwboy.com.
And we're here with another brand new episode 57.
Sound like Oprah. 57.
57! That was my cult cast intro. How was it?
Very bombastic.
Did I need to throw in a southern accent?
Hey man, on the way here I listened to a bunch of podcasts, and there's a lot of boring podcasts out there.
There are a lot of boring podcasts
that talk about tech in a very boring way.
Yeah, I agree.
It sounded like speech to text. And I won't name names.
There was one very popular podcast that he was just listening to, and he played it, and it was like they were talking like this. Like you had just typed something into your Mac, and the computer was reading it back to you. How was that?
My name is Alex.
My
name
name
in your computer
is Alex E. Heath. No, we weren't talking about Alex E. Heath. So some of you may know I do another podcast called The Cult Cast, which I try to talk about at least 10 times per UF episode.
Well, we have a self-serving show.
Yeah, exactly. And
not doing it for our health.
Roberto had read a comment or an iTunes user submitted feedback about how the person hated my Tim Cook accent, yo, which is admittedly very bad and is not supposed to be Tim Cook at all.
Your bad accents are part of the charm.
Yeah, they're part of the show. And actually, when I was at Macworld a couple weeks ago, I saw Fred Armisen there, and they were asking him about creating characters on the fly, because sometimes he's on Saturday Night Live, and sometimes they come to him and they're like, we need you to do this character, and he's like, I may not even know who the character is. He's like, so what I have to do is just like ask a few questions about them and then literally just create a character, and it doesn't have to be accurate in any way. It just has to be kind of cheeky and funny.
He's so funny.
He really is.
So he's still on SNL and he does Portlandia?
And he does Portlandia, yeah.
The girl on there is really funny.
She's funny too. Carrie something Steen, Bernstein.
Yeah.
And so I take solace in that. It may not be great, but it works for our show.
It's like, if a really popular millionaire comedian can do it, why can't I?
What I'm saying is I'm basically just like Fred Armisen. Which that was an amazing panel, by the way. We did a live for a Macworld episode, and the audio is always really bad. I'm trying to fix that.
Dude, no. The podcast I listened to on the way
that's
here.
That's actually true.
It sounded like a tin can and a string.
And they had no excuse, because they were probably recording from a studio somewhere.
No, yours is fine. Do you have one of those little miniature things with the micros that are like that?
I don't.
Those I hear are like kick-ass if you can get them.
This is my dog,
Taco
Penny.
Bell just came in here.
Hey, man. I heard you're doing the podcast. Can I be on your next episode? Oh, I love podcasts so much.
We should do I'll do a close-up of that. Just move her around and I'll dub that in there. Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Hey, man. You know what I love more than tacos? User-friendly. Oh, and churros. Those are my favorite kinds of food, man. Hey, you're starting the episode now? Okay, let's go. Penny. Lay back on your blankets.
Because now you can't actually picture. You know how like some people will picture what their dog would sound like. I can only picture that.
Look how cute she's being. Anyway, so we have a great show planned for you guys today. For those of you who've been watching for a while, we are bringing back a segment that we actually stopped doing for a while called the Netflix Review. I love this. I think we should do this at least once or twice a month.
Yeah, good idea.
And that's, of course, the segment where we recommend a movie that is currently available to watch on Netflix Instant, so you can stream it. And, I actually got a lot of feedback from Twitter about people telling me in the UK that it's really easy to stream Netflix.
Oh, really?
And there was one specific site that actually makes it super easy that I can't remember the name of now.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so we have that. We have a couple more topical stories.
Actually, yeah. Should we start with those? I think we should start with the topical stories.
If you'd like to, sure.
Okay, let's let's just do one.
Okay.
Since this was huge news today.
This is today. What's today's date?
Today is the 20th of February, and PlayStation held a press conference today.
Their name is Sony.
Their name is Sony, and they announced a brand new version of the PlayStation numero uno dos tres cuatro.
PlayStation,
as you would say. And not a ton of information
That's it.
about it.
I'm not listening to this show anymore.
So let's move on past PlayStation 4.
You pointed out that I'm not a gender neutral and ethnically neutral person.
Yeah, that's right.
I no longer
Neither of
want
us
to
are fully white. I hate to admit that. So we were just going to read some of the specs or some of the things that we found out about it. We're not going to sit here and read specs.
Yes.
And
so what was the announcement? Let's start there.
New PlayStation. I think the big deal about the new PlayStation 4 is it's going to be available holiday season 2013. So not even a year from now.
That's cool.
That is very cool, which means it's probably going to go on sale, early November would be my guess.
Probably,
I mean, they're not going to wait.
October.
Or maybe even October.
And we'll get some nice stabbings in there.
Oh, I'm going to have a mace, utility belt on and be spraying everyone at
We'll do
Walmart.
a UF in the line and probably die.
Yeah, that's right. I do want to read you some of the specs because I know some of you guys actually care about this. So, surprisingly, actually maybe not surprisingly, they're going with a pretty standard set of technology. They're not creating a bunch of custom cores like they did with the last PlayStation, and I bet you Xbox is going to follow suit.
I think that they found out that was kind of a dumb move because it made it harder for people to develop for that. Is what I've heard.
I think you might be right.
That's why Xbox picked up more steam because it was it's like DirectX is the default for Xbox. It's like programming for a PC pretty much for the Xbox 360, but on the PS3 it was just some new totally different architecture.
And totally proprietary. Yeah. So a 64-bit AMD Jaguar processor with 8 cores. It's going to have an AMD next-gen graphics card, whatever that means. They didn't elaborate. It is going to have a hard drive built in. It is going to have Blu-ray, of course, and a DVD/Blu-ray drive. It's going to have USB 3. It is going to have Ethernet and it's going to have gigabit. That's going to be great. Bluetooth is built in again. And actually, as far as hardware, that's kind of all we know. But
Wi-Fi built in too.
Wi-Fi is going to be built in too. One of the things I'm wondering is, they're going with a standard AMD chipset, right? And we talked about this actually, I think, on our last episode about how there's the Ouya. And they're going to be releasing a new console. It's an open source video game platform every year with updated hardware.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I wonder if this puts PlayStation kind of in that same mindset because...
Not every year, though.
Maybe every 2 years.
I mean, even that's a long way because think about how long does it take for Halo to get developed, or some big game, like a year. Why would they be like, oh crap, we need to always be planning for a new console release,
I don't know. I mean,
because they're developing on new hardware, right? So they have to have knowledge of this new hardware that they're going to be developing on, right?
Potentially. I mean, let's say it's like a Mac, right? So a game developer doesn't need to know what hardware you have to develop a game for your Mac. He develops a Mac that has graphic levels and CPU levels that vary. So if you have a really powerful Mac, the game looks better on your machine. If you don't have a powerful Mac, the game scales itself back so that it looks good.
But don't they want this kind of standard user experience throughout all their boxes? Why would they want this varied model in the future, right? Because that's what it's going to be for Ouya. It's going to be like, well, do you have the second one or the first one? Because that one has that one actually looks kind of shittier compared to this one.
Well, the reason I was thinking that, I didn't even mention this. Wait, I totally skipped over this. 8 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM. 8 gigabytes. I think the current version has 512. That is an insane increase.
Well, dude, it's been 8 years.
Yeah, 8 gigabytes of RAM probably costs 6 cents now.
Yeah, man.
It's super cheap. So I don't know.
They don't say how big their storage is going to be either, huh? It just says built in.
It just says built in. Yeah. So hardware-wise, looking pretty good. There's some other technologies that they're building in natively, and we talked about this in our last episode about how a lot of these systems weren't designed to do a lot of the social and like live stuff that they're doing now.
Right.
So the PS4 was designed from the ground up to ensure backwards compatibility, I guess. We'll see how that actually works out. They're gonna make the PlayStation Network more robust. Okay, let's see if that happens. It's gonna be high performance. Yeah, we know that.
He's reading a press release.
I'm literally scanning a press release right now. It's equipped with 8 gigabytes of unified system memory. Cool.
I just went
bonkers
anything
on that.
But good stuff out of this because it's all press release.
Well, here's
boilerplate.
Boilerplate. It's like just paragraphs. Here's an interesting piece. Social interaction is going to be central to PS4 experiences.
Yeah.
That's not exactly how the PS3 has been. So it'll be interesting to see. There's a share button on the actual controller.
Yeah, and so what I heard about that, I do know a little bit.
Okay.
I watched a little bit of the announcement. And what I do know is that, yeah, the share button's on the controller. There's a new controller. You might want to come up. I think Kotaku has it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, if you go to Kotaku.com, Kotaku.com.
I'm on Kotaku right now.
Yeah, I know. It's probably right in the front. You didn't notice it.
There you go. I was like, dude, I'm on it. I'm on it right now. Okay.
So it looks basically like the old PlayStation controller. However, it has this touchpad in the middle that's about like maybe 2 inches wide or something and like an inch tall.
I'm gonna get some video of this actually.
And then it has share buttons. I think 2 of them. What it's supposed to do, and I don't know where it posts this, but it will basically play back a few seconds of the video of the part that you want to share. So like if you just killed some guy and you press share, it will actually like parse that part out, or at least like a few seconds behind where it started, and then it will share it to your social networks or whatever, which I think is really cool. So I guess it's hosted on Sony's site, I guess. I mean, like, I don't know. You know, that's the only thing I don't know.
You mean the videos?
Yeah.
Well, if they're anything like Xbox, a lot of people don't know this, but it's actually a peer-to-peer technology. Dude, look at this thing. What does this remind you of?
Rob the Robot.
Freaking reminds me of the Kinect. Look at that thing just sitting there.
That's on top of the TV.
It's sitting on top of the TV. Yeah, sorry about the bump there, people.
Also, sorry that we don't know that many details. It literally just came out.
And it just got announced today.
And we're both pretty busy all day.
Yeah, exactly. Normally I just sit around doing nothing but coming up with stories for this show.
And developing your characters.
Dude, it is about time they released a better controller.
Yeah, and it's obviously, you know, still looking kind of like the way that they designed the original one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt that too. I mean, it went all the way up to the 3rd PlayStation where people were just like, no, it's the best one ever designed. It's just like, come on. Like, it could be improved, you know?
Yeah.
It kind of was rigid. It had a kind of a rigid feel to it, I think.
Yeah, I didn't like it, actually. I thought it was too small.
I just think that, you know, there's always going to be diehard fans that are like, you can't change it. We hate change, you know?
We resist change.
But anyway, so what else is there?
Okay, so that share function actually seems really cool. This is actually interesting for iPhone owners and iPad owners. They're going to release a new app called PlayStation App. Very creative. That will enable iPad, iPhones, and Android-based smartphones and tablets to become second screens to the devices. So I guess when you're playing a game, once you have the app installed, you could remotely watch other gamers playing on their devices.
That's cool.
No, I'm sorry. I misspoke. So while away from home, okay, you can play games remotely on your devices. That's interesting. So I wonder how that's going to work.
So what? So you can buy like a crazy game and you can play it on your iPad?
Okay, so once installed, you can use the second screens kind of like you do on the Nintendo Wii U, where you can like look at maps and stuff. That's kind of cool. Xbox is totally gonna have that built into their new smart glass app
that's
too.
Coming to everything, yeah.
And I guess some of the games you are gonna be able to play. Oh, okay, or you can remotely watch other gamers playing on their devices.
Oh, watch.
Yes. Okay, that's a little different.
That makes sense.
Okay, so PS4 radically reduces the lag time between players and their content. Oh, here's another thing. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say that because of the new processor and like it has a dedicated GPU, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
It's able to do actual background processes like download your updates and all this kind of stuff, rather than like.
That's very cool.
Like what we're saying,
like
like, yeah, instead of it being like a pausing to a halt when it has to download
stuff. Oh, yes.
You know?
Like on Xbox when you have to... I just had an update today.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't let me do anything until the update was finished. I'm just sitting there and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It took like 20 minutes. I know, it makes me mad. So the PlayStation 4 is designed to always be on. It goes to into a low power state so that you can always just leave it on. New gaming in the cloud. Okay, we'll see what that ends up actually meaning.
So they're teaming up with that one. Who is it? Gaikai.
Geico.
Gaikai.
I don't know who that is. Gaikai Inc.'s cloud technology.
Yeah, they're kind of like OnLive. Do you remember OnLive?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. So.
Oh, interesting. I've never heard of them.
What was the other thing I was gonna say about sharing? Oh yeah, so they are gonna have some sort of integration with your Facebook and other social networks, like where I think specifically they said Facebook, where you have like your actual name online. So they want to like encourage you could be your real name instead of a username online.
Oh really?
Yeah.
My friend is like, I'm on Facebook right now. He's like, talk about the PS4 on UF. I'm like, do you want me to call you? He's been telling me to get on Xbox all day, which is where we have our conversations. He's like, get on Xbox so we can talk about PlayStation 4. So overall, it looks like a great system. We don't really know anything about it, but the two things that excite me, coming out this Christmas.
Yeah.
And that excites me not because I'm planning to buy one, because I'm not. But I know that if they're going to release a new system that's going to come out by this Christmas, that probably means Xbox is going to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing that I thought was cool is, if you caught our last episode, we talked about how there's this major rumor that the next Xbox box is not going to allow you to buy or play used games.
Yeah.
And I don't think that if PlayStation doesn't implement that kind of technology, I don't think that Xbox will do it either.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll know more in the coming months. So this will develop as a more interesting
yeah, we'll
topic,
find out. We'll find out more.
But yeah, you can find out more about that on Sony's
Kotaku's site
and
too.
Kotaku, if you want to see actual specs, it's kind of interesting. But
he really wants us to talk about the share button. Well, we already talked about that. We already did.
But and I saw some graphic demos, and it looks pretty nuts, dude.
That's gonna be great.
I keep up. I kind of keep up with what graphics look like. Yeah. And this was really good.
Do you actually really?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Because I mean, I feel like I was gonna say that and you're gonna be like, oh, it already looks real, and it's like, no, we've said that for years.
No. I'm not one of those guys that says that. When people are like, dude, it looks real enough, I'm like, bollocks.
Yeah. This looked crazy.
I always wanted to get better.
I don't remember the game, but it's this game where this guy walks around. He has this crazy smartphone that can control anything.
Yep.
And tell you who is around you. So it like shows a heads-up display of like, oh, that guy, his name is this, and you're supposed to be able to like use the technology like to slow down a train and then ride the train, or like find out who's going to commit a crime and stuff. And I thought that was really innovative because it's like, well, yeah, that's kind of what like cops will probably end up doing, like with Google Glass and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They'll just be able to be like, okay, that's Irfan and like blah, blah, blah,
like
he's already committed 20 rapes and stuff like that.
At least that day, you mean,
yeah,
right? Yeah, mostly of men and some animals. So, yeah. Oh, can I also just say one last thing? We can share that on the internet easily with the button on the controller. One of the other things I just wanted to mention is not a major, huge, here's our new PlayStation, here are all the cool things it couldn't do before kind of announcement. It was kind of like, it's a much more evolutionary announcement, which to me is not really that surprising, but why the hell did it take them 7 or 8 years to release an evolutionary update? Why didn't they do this 2 years ago?
Yeah, I wonder if it's like a game of chicken, because it's like, well, we don't want to release it if they're still getting, a few years out of their box, because then we'll be behind if we release one, a year ahead of them,
Yeah.
Because then we'll have the old thing.
That might be true. It's weird, man. I just writing about this kind of stuff sometimes, the stories you hear, I follow a lot of photography rumors too. And like Canon and Nikon, the two big manufacturers, they follow each other so closely, and they have like spies working for spying on each other. So like if Canon's about to release a camera, Nikon knows, and vice versa, and they'll specifically add or take out features from their camera based upon what their competitor is doing. So if they have some, like feature that Canon's going to add, Nikon's like, oh crap, we got to somehow cram that in our camera before we release it.
That's funny. It's interesting that the only company that comes to mind that isn't always talking about competition is Apple, right?
Yeah, that's
they
true.
don't seem to be. I mean, there's been keynotes where they kind of rag on like their competition, but I still think that they don't put it out there as much. Like they used to just be like, well, we just want to make the best products. We're not talking like about, well, we got to beat them. We got to beat them.
Yeah, we're not making a product to enter this category. That's very true about Apple. I think it's one of the reasons why they're successful. Although they do borrow stuff and steal stuff. Like
it's true.
I think the notification center is a really obvious example. Like they basically took Android's notification center and bolted it on to iOS. But hey, it works great, right?
Okay.
So, should we move on to our movie?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's called Candyman, the David Klein story.
If you guys watched it, thank you for watching it.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. This will be fun to see what kind of interaction we get from you guys, because normally, like I said, when someone reviews a movie, it's something that just came out that you may want to see, but they end up talking about spoilers, and you're like...
Yeah.
What the hell? I can't watch this part now.
Yeah.
So, would you like to give us a short synopsis on what the movie was about?
Yeah, sure. So, this movie is a documentary, and it talks about the creator, David Klein, the creator of the JellyBellies.
Right.
So, if you don't know what that is, it's gourmet jelly beans.
If you don't know that he created it, that's part of the major plot of the movie.
Yeah. So like it kind of starts out where he's talking about, no one would ever know, this is my creation, and it's a very popular brand. I mean, it's everywhere, right? And they sell them for pretty expensive.
They're still expensive.
Yeah.
Like they started as a premium candy, and they're still marketed as a premium candy.
And so it kind of goes through his life, how he started it. He started in the 70s, and he was kind of like the JellyBelly guy. He heavily promoted it. It was on, lots of different talk shows and news outlets.
Yeah, like imagine him being on like Fallon today, on Leno, and making multiple appearances on Letterman and stuff. It's like those are the shows that he was on.
Yeah, and it was a big change. It's hard to like kind of equate this today, but back then candy was like cheap 10-cent bags, and stuff like that. Of bad candy. Like think of like when you go to the stores and they have like the good candy aisles with all the bright stuff, and then they have like the cheapy like bags of orange slices and stuff like that, and like caramels and stuff. That's what the majority of candy was like. His idea was to go in there and make a premium product, and that was kind of a revolutionary thing at the time because nobody was doing that. So it takes it through that story, and then how he eventually lost the rights to being the patent holder of it, the trademark holder of it, and how his life is today, where he's not a wealthy guy or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a interesting story of like kind of like creativity, and then where it could take you, or where it couldn't, where it might not take you where you want to go. But what do you think?
So I saw before I actually watched it, I looked at the reviews, and it got like a 3-star out of 5 reviews. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe this isn't going to be that good of a documentary, but it was great. It was really, really good, I thought. First of all, I didn't realize there was such a history behind Jelly Bellies. I like jelly beans. I don't really eat them that often because they're so expensive. Oh yeah, we got some. Hey.
Here, happy birthday.
Thank you. I got some Jelly Bellies. I'll share them with you.
Thanks.
And the story was amazing. I mean, I think that David Klein might be a genius. He's so eccentric.
Yeah, very eccentric guy.
Yeah.
He's in his 60s now.
Is he really?
Yeah.
He has a lot of health problems, you can tell. It was a great story, but I also thought it was a really sad story. Look at my dog, her food. She gets up, looks at it, and she's like, "All right, peace. There's nothing for me." She lays right back down.
Let's eat those.
Yeah, let's eat them. Actually, can I give them to you so that you can open them and I can think? Because I can't do both at the same time.
Cover the mic so I don't hear it. Okay, but keep going.
So he starts this company, and the marketing behind it is genius. And the way he goes around getting people to want to carry their products, Penny, you're not going to get any of these, in their stores is really remarkable. And I think his hustle and his work ethic are really commendable, and I was really impressed by him as a person.
Yeah.
And how he was really able to come up with all these amazing ideas for this candy. And I think there was the other part of it where he just got really lucky. Like, he found a really great factory locally, like, it was like one of the best factories in the US that made candy to work with.
Yeah.
He had a really great name. JellyBelly is a wonderful name for a candy.
Yeah.
And
the branding, the yellow and red are like the most recognizable colors for
dude, those are good.
They're really good, right?
How much were they?
$2.99 a bag.
That's not bad. Those are really delicious.
Yeah.
Penny, sit down.
These are the sour ones. I really like these a lot more.
Actually, I like the sour ones a lot more too.
Good.
So, I was impressed by his hustle and his imagination, and he builds up this company, right? And he's selling a zillion of these things.
And it's totally unheard of because in the beginning people were like, "Are you crazy? We're not going to buy them for like $2 a pound," you know?
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
So he's trying to sell these products. People were laughing at him, and he keeps at it, and finally he gets a big break, and they just take off, and everyone starts buying them, and they can't even produce as many as people are ordering.
Right.
And then I don't know if he is just a sweetheart of a man or if I think he's just a total fool.
Yeah.
Because he started making these really bizarre business decisions that kind of ended up with him losing his entire company for a pittance, you know, after all the work that he did. So, what did you think about this? So, the first things first, his grandfather, well, his wife's grandfather, his wife's father gets in trouble.
Yeah.
They call him, and his father-in-law needs a job.
Yeah.
So he decides to approach the guy that he's been working with to like market all this stuff, and ask him to buy that guy's store. So he's a JellyBelly store. He's like, "Let me buy the store. I'm gonna let my father-in-law work there."
It was not a JellyBelly store. It was a nut store.
Oh, it was a nut store.
Yeah, because he was also, before that, we should explain, the reason he had these ties was because he was in the nuts and snacks kind of industry. So he was selling nuts before the JellyBelly.
I didn't recall that.
So yeah, he wanted something for his like older grandfather-in-law to do because he was not going to have any income. So he goes to his business partner. Well, actually, it wasn't even his business partner.
Well, not at the time. It wasn't his business partner.
He owned 100% of the company, and his the people, I believe, they were the owners of the store, the nut store, but I don't remember how they got tied into it. But anyway, he offers half of the business for the store.
So he offers to buy it in cash. They say no, and he offers half of his business, this amazing JellyBelly business, for the store. And of course, they say yes.
Right.
So now he owns the store, and they own half of the JellyBelly brand, which is this amazing thing that he's worked for years to build.
Yeah.
And when they came to that part in the movie, and he said that he did that, my jaw dropped. I was like, I cannot believe that he did that. What a fool! Like, why did he do that? And I totally lost my train of thought. So
he lost his business.
That's how dumbfounded I was.
Yeah, and it's like,
and then it moves forward.
It moves forward, and we can go back to that point about him fool or what.
I just want to touch about touch on the major things that happened, and then he has a friend that and you could probably clarify their relationship. Who he's been working with, getting all this stuff developed, and the friend comes to him after all these years and says, "Oh, by the way, I trademarked your brand name legally, and I own it. Yeah. And you're going to give me $64,000 a year for the rest of my life,
Yeah.
or I'm going to take your business from you.
Right.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, that was pretty baffling. Yeah, because he was like, he calls him up and he says, how many partners do you have, currently? And he's like, well, it's just me and this other guy.
The other guy that he just gave half his business to.
And he's like, well, not anymore. You have a third partner. It's me. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, this is what I'm saying. And he said, yeah, I trademarked it in California. And the reason why, for some reason that was legal, but he got the federal trademark. And he's like, well, he's like, the only reason we didn't get a California trademark is because our attorney advised us that it didn't have any significance. So we got the federal trademark. So which alone is kind of grounds for like suing the shit out of your lawyer, I guess, right? I don't know. But it's that kind of thing where it's just legal loopholes to me. And I mean, it's hard for me to get my head around that kind of mentality of seeing somebody's creative idea, seeing something that's clearly their baby or creation, and then just being like, well, you know what? I just think I'm more of a rightful owner than you are, and I'm going to take it from you. You know what I mean? And I just think that's just like insane,
Yeah.
It'd be like if I trademarked something you're working on.
Well, I was going to say, like, you build up Throwboy, and then I'm like, oh, by the way, I saw that it had promise, and I'm the one that trademarked it before you, and I never told you.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be like...
Yeah, you're like,
what?
Yeah.
What? Why would you do that? I was dumbfounded when that happened to him. And I think this starts to paint a bigger picture, and that's where the story really kind of starts illustrating how becoming famous or doing something that is obviously making you very wealthy can bring all these really strange relationships into your life.
Yeah, and just really, exactly, like kind of vulture type relationships of these people that I don't know, they just see an in, but it's weird to me to think that that there's these kind of people that can sell themselves on this idea of it's my creation, it's mine,
But was his friend who trademarked his company even saying that he had anything to contribute to it, or to me it just sounded like straight up theft. It'd be like me putting my hands into your wallet or in your pants pocket and be like, this wallet is mine now because I took it.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. But the thing is though, if you say that it's mine now, that means that you're convincing yourself that you created this, right? That you own it, right?
Yeah,
maybe not created it, but
I somehow own it,
right? And I think that's just like crazy, but then at the same time I take away from that as like, well, I don't know, I kind of sympathize with him a little bit, but then at the same time I'm like, yeah, but you can't just be like innocent like that, because there's no going back once somebody legally has your brand, right, or legally has a part of your business. You can't just be like, well, I didn't know any better or whatever.
Well, that's what I keep that's the same position I kept coming and going from. Like, I felt bad for David Klein, and then I was like, why are you being so incredibly ignorant with your business? So long story short on that, he tricks that friend into signing a contract that makes it so that once they pay him $64,000, he's done. He's out.
Yeah.
And his friend somehow signs it. They pay him $64,000, and even though he was supposed to get that every year for the rest of his life, after 1 year, it was finished, and they got rid of that guy.
Did they get rid of him?
Yeah, they didn't have to pay him anymore.
Oh, okay.
So fast forward, JellyBelly has become this huge business, and then his producer, so that factory that he went to, that he was probably making rich, right? Because he's buying all this stuff from them.
Yeah, they basically they said they had to start answering their phone as JellyBelly.
Right.
Because it became their primary thing that they did.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So they go to him, the owner of that company goes to him and says, I want to buy your business. I won't take no for an answer. Like, and he gives them this huge sob story about how he has to create a new factory because demand is so high that they can't sustain his business anymore.
And we already have these people with like we have these people employed and all this.
And we got to make sure we can ensure their future. Big sob story, right? And if you don't sign this paperwork to sell this company to us. We are going to stop producing the brand under your brand name. We're going to take all your recipes.
And we're just going to do it
And we're just going to do it ourselves under a totally different brand name. And you can try to sue us, but you'll run out of money and you'll run out of time. Another one of those moments where my jaw dropped. I was like, I just can't believe what people would do to somebody just to take what they have. Like the level of envy and greed is just
staggering.
It's staggering.
I mean, think about that. We both business owners that manufacture products where we're not physically making them. You know, I do some physically make them, but you know, like let's say your t-shirt distributor decides that you're doing so well, I'm just gonna call it my own thing and just take it from here, you know?
Yeah, or let's say my
pillow factory.
My podcast host says, hey, you know what? We're using a lot of our bandwidth to host your podcast. Mm-hmm. You got to give us the trademark and everything, sell us your entire business, and if you don't, we're just gonna start distributing it without your permission.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, you can come sue us, but we have millions of dollars to defend ourselves. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Oh, man. It's nuts. And, like, there's so much evidence of him actually owning it. That's why I'm like, the law is just fucked up, dude. That he can't just be like, well, look, it's obviously something I did and made, right? You know, that kind of thing doesn't hold up in court. It's crazy.
My jaw dropped even more. We're talking about how crazy it is when he agrees. And he sells his company and all the trademarks and everything that he's worked so hard for to this basically jelly bean manufacturing company now.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like he was just beaten down, you know, into the point where he's not that kind of guy, right? He's not that kind of like a fighter to try to he's probably just like so low at that point where it's just like, you know what? Fuck it, I don't care anymore, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I just can't imagine it. He didn't fight it at all. And didn't even have a lawyer review the contract.
And he had to get out of the candy business for several years, so he couldn't even like spin off his own brand or anything.
Oh, did he really? Was that part of the agreement?
Yeah, yeah. And now he has his own thing. Actually, he has his own gourmet jelly bean that I think you can buy online. Mm-hmm. But and then it goes on to show that he tried several times to hit it big again, and nothing ever hit it big like JellyBelly. And it just gets sadder at the end, you know.
It does get sadder, but it moves from he just keeps getting screwed. So it's like success. He just keeps getting screwed, to analyzing like why would somebody make all these mistakes after being so smart and having such a great, you know, product.
I don't know, dude. I can kind of, it's probably not good for me to admit this, but I can sort of relate to that being like you can have a very good passion for creativity, creating something, marketing something, but it doesn't mean that you're a business person and have like great business sense, you know. Doesn't mean that you're, but then also I think that he's just genuinely like a very nice person, you know, which is probably his detriment.
That's exactly the conclusion I came to. So by the way, this deal that he signed, he sells his business for $4.8 million. And he doesn't even get the money up front. It's $20,000 a month like over 20 years.
Yeah.
But he has this business partner that he gave half the business to in trade for that store. So he's only getting $10,000.
Yeah.
So he's getting was it $20,000 a month or $20,000 a week?
I forgot.
I don't remember either. But it was over 20 years. So he basically sold his business for a pittance and didn't even have like the nerve to be like, you need to write me a check now. Over 20 years. So it's not even worth what he sold it for 20 years later.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what it reminded me of? So he spends the prime of his life creating this really amazing product, and he ends up getting rid of it. And the lesson it taught me, honestly, is like, don't trade money for your intellectual property or for your trademark or whatever. And it reminded me of Conan O'Brien. I love Conan's new show. I think it's funny. But when he left NBC, whatever deal he negotiated with NBC to leave the Tonight Show, they got to keep all of his intellectual property from that show. So all the stupid sketches he did, you know, in the year 2000, in the year 3000,
Oh, really?
stupid masturbating bear.
Yeah.
He's legally not allowed to do those. NBC owns those, and now he's with what, TBS?
TBS, yeah.
And he probably got a freaking heap of money.
Yeah.
But what's the money worth? I mean, just like the JellyBelly guy, he burned through it over what, 20 years?
Sure.
He has nothing left to show for it. And he's not making any more royalties. And they said if he would have hung on to his company, that money that he got would have now been worth like $200 or $300 million.
God damn.
So he gave that up, and for what? I mean, I really don't know.
Yeah.
Same with Conan. I'm like, I wonder what he feels about giving away that life's work. Because in your mind, I think you think, oh, I did it once, I can do it again. I think that might be true. Mm-hmm. Steve Jobs did it, you know.
Yeah. That's totally true. It's like with creative people, you're like, well, is this just like a drop in the bucket, or is there other things that you have in you that could make you a millionaire again, right?
I think a lot of it has to do with work ethic, but I think there is a large part of being in the right place at the right time and luck.
Yeah.
And he has not been able to replicate it ever.
Yeah.
And now his life, I'm sure he's happy, but he has a deep sadness in him from losing all of his business.
Yeah.
And I think his biggest thing, and he said this multiple times, is no one even knows
who I am and
who I am and what I did.
Yeah, it's like, look at this. You won't find it anywhere. There's no story of him on here, you know?
Right.
Nothing like that. There's no person attached to this.
Yeah, he's like, even KFC got the Colonel on the sign.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think he would be happy with that.
If it just had his face on the
If it
front.
just had his face on the bag,
Yeah.
or maybe his belly
around
the outside. But the story ends with kind of like a look into like how kind he is as a person. I mean, they give all these examples of people that he's helped, people who are like, if he didn't help me do this, I would never be able to be where I am in my life. Mm-hmm. He sold another business to that dude, right? For $1?
I don't remember. Oh, wait, yeah. Like some guy called him up, and his daughter was crying on the telephone.
The guy calls him, wants to do business with him because he owns like a fruit and nut company, right?
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah.
And David's like, I don't even have time to talk to you. I have more business than I know what to do with. Here's the guy's daughter crying. It's a baby on the phone. And the guy's like, David's like, you should just come in. Let's talk.
Yeah.
So the guy goes in there to talk to him. And David ends up selling him this business for $1.
Really? I don't remember that.
On his birthday, he rents ice cream trucks and drives around neighborhoods and gives away all the ice cream for free.
Yeah.
That's like what he loves to do on his birthday. They tell a story of him going to Disneyland and buying all the balloons from the people that sell balloons there and just walking around and hanging out.
Giving them to kids, yeah.
Balloons to kids. I mean, he's just... I think you're right. Like, he's just not a businessman.
Yeah. Yeah, and it would be
He
fine.
is a businessman.
I guess it would be okay if it's like, what do you equate to what makes your life fulfilling, you know? Because maybe that's enough for somebody like that. But then again, I don't think anybody could be cheery knowing that happened to them. You know what I mean? I don't think anyone could just be like, well, you know, that was what that makes them happy or something. You know, it's like it's too much. It's too huge of a thing to have lost. You know, especially like you and I can relate to that. Putting your whole self into some idea that you think is gonna go somewhere and everything, like. You get it jacked from you. I mean, you're probably not going to get over that for a long time.
That's true. Especially like you take something that is basically nothing.
It doesn't even exist.
It doesn't even exist. You turn it into something. You build a community around it. Mm-hmm. And then once it's successful, everyone feels like they have a reason to think that they own part of it.
Yeah. It happened to, the brand Paul Frank?
Yes.
It happened to him too. And now he can't even call... he can't even go by the name Paul Frank because that's the name of his brand, right? And
right.
And you see that everywhere. That's like the monkey. It's at Target. It's everywhere, right? And he got ousted in some way from his business. And what sucks is that I read an article not too long ago that they used his character, his monkey character, Julius, in some way that offended, I think it was Native Americans, and people like lashed out at him, and he's like, I haven't had anything to do with that brand for several years. You know, there's nothing I can do. I created this and I wanted this, I wanted the fun spirit to continue, but unfortunately they did that with it, and I'm sorry, but not even I'm sorry. It was just like I can't do anything.
I had nothing to do with this anymore.
Yeah.
That's probably gonna be like John Madden in 10 years when his football game is like the worst game ever, and they're still selling it. Or Tom Clancy, remember Ghost Recall?
Oh yeah.
Super popular game.
Ghost Recon.
I actually never played it.
I forgot about that game.
And I think they paid him off too. I wonder if Michael Jordan still makes money from his name.
Oh, he has to, dude.
You think so? He was never like, I'm gonna give that up.
No, I think there's more examples of like people that, had a good brand, had a good business, and I don't know, these ones, that kind of stuff where it's just like somebody got it taken from them. It sucks, but I don't know. It's like, you got to protect yourself, right? Like, you got to trademark stuff. You got to do all.
You got to be shrewd.
Yeah.
You got to not let people push you around, and you have to be brave, and sometimes that means, facing conflict and standing up for your rights, and just be like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to stand for this. Like, this is not going to be the way this works.
And I think it's good to have other people like that around you. Like to me, you're one of those people that is like that.
You for me.
And I'll be like, okay, hey, does this make sense? Can I run this by you? Because I want to make sure that I'm not just being too easy on this.
Right.
I have this deal. Can you check it out for me? Because it's better for us both to have kind of like a second pair of eyes. Not everybody has that, and especially if you have a crazy marketable idea and you just like let anybody go, oh, I'll give you $50 for that. It's like
$50.
Yeah, and speaking of, we're gonna go to the Comic-Con in next week.
Right.
And there's just a wealth of that. There's a wealth of great ideas and great things there that people will just give away for well under its value.
Yeah, when you first start a business, like the fact that anyone would want to give you any money really is exciting.
Yeah.
And then once you get a little bit of money, you're like, you might realize at a certain point, you're like, boy, I really am doing a lot of work and not making very much from this.
Yeah.
Or somebody's making way more money off it than I am.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's not really fun. But
yeah, but I think it's something you have to taste. I don't think it's something somebody can just tell you.
Yeah.
Look, make sure to blah blah blah. Because when I started, that's what people would tell me all the time. And I've definitely done some missteps, but it's like you have to see it. You have to experience it.
Yeah, you do have to experience it. Well, I gotta say, dude, these things are downright delicious. They're really good. I'm like sitting here I should probably stop eating these.
Yeah, dude, I went through a whole bag of those. I put them in a bowl and I just kept going. Two at a time.
These would be really dangerous in a bowl.
Yeah.
Sitting out somewhere. I mean, like, they're really tasty. The flavors are good. Like, the texture of them is really good. Mm-hmm. In the movie, they talked about how Ronald Reagan would order, like, what, 60 boxes of these a month?
Yeah, and then it was like his little habit to eat the JellyBellies.
You're like going to grab one. I'm just like,
I actually like the regular ones too. I even like the popcorn one. They have a one that tastes like buttered popcorn.
I don't mind a few of those in my bag.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't want to eat a ton of them.
And they also have something called belly flops, which are like messed up JellyBellies. And
I saw those. Right, they only sell at the dollar store, right?
No, you can. I don't know if they're at the dollar store, but you can buy them online.
Oh, you can.
A lot of people think that you have to go to their factory, which I think is in Northern California, to get them. But no, you can just like get them online.
I saw a picture of
on Amazon.
Them on Reddit.
Oh, really?
And the guy was like, apparently this is where JellyBellies gets rid of their gross misfigured jelly beans.
Yeah.
And they're called belly flops.
Yeah, I think
that's like all
fantastic.
Like the ones that are all like stuck together, they're all like weird shapes.
That's smart, dude. But I read the reviews on Amazon, and I guess it's like they're fun if you have kids, and that they'll just try anything. But some of them that taste like crap, like they must have mixed together some vomit in there because it tastes gross.
Like this belly flop tastes like dog puke, and then you're looking at the back, you're like, yep, that's dog puke flavor. That's why that's in this bag. Here's frog turd.
It's like
I did not even know that was a real thing.
It's like, me and Pookie, we added a secret ingredient. I'll give you a hint. It's semen. Do you remember that?
I'm trying to recall what movie that's from.
Harold and Kumar.
Oh. Let's see. There's an Asian ingredient here. Cream of some young guy. Sha. Anyway, we should move on, huh?
Yeah.
So we'll do another one of these in maybe a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and we always choose documentaries.
Yeah, I don't know.
We should do like a T2 since that's on there now. We should review Terminator 2.
It's like, have you ever seen Terminator 2? I think they're interesting because documentaries. I'm glad that you like them too because I'm like an addict for these things. But I don't know. I just feel like they have a little bit more of a. You don't have to really be a film buff to be able to discuss a documentary. And neither one of us is really like somebody that. I don't consider myself a film buff. I love listening to those kinds of people, but I don't think that I do very good analysis of cinema, you know. But I think that
Nor do I,
something where it's like, well, we have heart. That really has heart. Let's talk about that topic, you know.
Yeah, you know, I really did like this documentary, but I felt like it was very difficult to describe.
Really?
That's how I felt because it's like it's about JellyBellies. You may or may not know what those even are. And then you're talking about this guy's life and how he got screwed over, and it's just like...
I guess to me, I watched it so many times. Like, I kept putting it on and putting it on and putting it on. Because it really spoke to me. I was like, this is not that far off from what I do, you know?
Yeah.
It's really not, because what I do is kind of like a gourmet pillow, you know?
Yeah, right.
And so, I was like... Actually, when I started Throwboy, I thought of it in that way. I was like, I wish there was a good word to describe the pillow, but it's like JellyBellies is a better jelly bean. Throwboy Pillows is a better pillow, you know?
Right.
And that's why I just kept watching and I was like, I need to soak this in. What are the missteps? What can I not do? You know? And what can I duplicate, you know?
I think it's a great movie to watch if you've ever considered starting a business.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful movie to watch because there's a lot of lessons there.
Yeah.
And anyway.
So it's on Netflix Instant, and that is Candyman David Klein's story. So, do we have one more topic?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the Kickstarter app.
Yes, sir. Okay.
So we talk about Kickstarter a lot, projects that we love, usually projects that we hate.
People love that.
People love to hear us talk about projects that we don't like.
And up until this point, there's been no official Kickstarter app. There's been one on the App Store for a little while that was called Kickstarter.
Was it KIKK?
No, it was actually a Kickstarter app, but all it was like a web interface.
Oh.
And some guy was charging $1.99 for it.
He was a genius. He probably sold a bunch of them, and you open it up, and it just taps into Safari and loads the website.
Okay, we got this.
All right. Damn it. It's on up.
I always do that.
Yeah,
too.
okay. All right, we're all ready.
Okay. So this was released last week, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
The new Kickstarter app. It's really nice. I think they did a really great job. So it starts off with the staff picks, which I think is always a good place to start. And it just gives you all the right, all the info you need to know. Scrolling through, the projects and how many backers. Is that coming in okay?
Yeah, it's coming in fine.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get close enough so that it actually shows the letters and stuff.
You always have trouble filming this. You're a
There
photographer.
we go. Not a videographer, though.
So if we want to find let's play one. Trying to find one that looks cool.
That one that you just scrolled past looked like the book cover of Are You Afraid of the Dark?
I want to find like a nicely made video, not like a crummy video.
You might be scrolling for a while.
All right, here we go.
This guy has a really hairy arm.
Here's a gadget. So, okay, you can watch it like this or like this.
Is my hand position weird like this? Back in my day, if you wanted your voice to sound like a robot, you didn't just auto-tune yourself. We didn't have that crazy witchcraft back then, and I'm not about to start using it now.
Do you have
No
a talk
whistles,
box?
boys. I know I look good. Instead, you used a talk box to get that cool, hip robot
I used to have
sound.
a top box.
Did you?
Yeah. It actually, what it does is
Either that or you smoked cigarettes for
it
50 years.
it's like a speaker that
What's
comes
a
out
talk box, you
and it
ask?
goes into your
Well,
mouth.
that's a good question. It's
It's a
essentially a
tube.
device that routes the sound from a speaker through a tube into your mouth.
Oh.
You use your lips and teeth to shape the sound. Presto changeo, you sound like a robot.
It's hard though. That's why he can only do that.
It's a pretty cool effect, and it's been used by guys like Peter Frampton, Sly and the Family Stone, Steppenwolf,
Roger
Queen,
Troutman.
the Foo Fighters. But traditional talk
what?
boxes are expensive, and on top of that, you've got to own a guitar or a keyboard or something in between. You've got to have a bunch of
Tell us what it
cables
is,
to connect it all
dude.
together,
That's a
and
good
by that
idea.
point, you're poor.
So it goes
But
right
we
into
thought,
the
what if
bottom,
we can make a
probably.
smaller, portable, affordable talk box that takes advantage of the sound-making capabilities of the iPhone? So that's exactly what we did. It's called the WeWow.
That's funny. It's just a tube.
It's a tiny little adapter that clips onto your phone, capturing the sound from the phone's speaker
Yeah,
and
that's
routing it
it.
through a tube. What you do from there is up to you. The easiest thing is to make the signature wee wow sound.
Alright, you're done.
That actually looks kind of cool.
I used to have a talk box when I was like in high school, and I guess they've gone up in price because they don't really make them there that much anymore.
Oh.
Because you can just do that. You can manipulate your voice with a digital now, but you really have to enunciate with that tube in your mouth, like super.
I heard doing that motion really helps a lot too.
If you listen to like those records, it's like, how did they even talk? Because it's hard to do that. But anyway, I thought the Kickstarter app was pretty cool.
Yeah, sorry, I stopped filming it. I should probably keep going, huh?
That's okay. If you log in,
Damn it. Oh no, here we go.
you got that.
We're rolling, dude. Picture me rolling.
If you log in, you can see activity from your friends. I'm not logged in, which is cool because I believe I have some other people that follow me on here.
Oh really?
And
I need to stop eating these jelly
popular has a popular feed. Oh, Cyanide and Happiness show. Huh, cool. So I like it. I think it's a really, the website's great, but I think it's just a really good adaptation for the phone. I don't know if it's available on Android, but I would assume so.
Probably not.
But yeah, it's available for free in the App Store, so go get it.
Go on and get it. We're not gonna really review any Kickstarter projects here.
Yeah.
We just wanted to show you the app.
Yeah.
I'm gonna download it. Yeah.
It's just really simple. I like it.
It's great bathroom browsing material.
Oh yeah. Same with the Weewa.
All right, cool. Well, that's it. I think that's all we got for this show. We need to wrap this up before.
Those are gone.
I'm like Gollum over here. I'm like.
By the time I get home, those are gonna be gone.
All right, cool. Well, hey man,
There's like half a bag.
you were helping me. You ate like 5.
All right.
So hey, if I wanted to hear more about your Throwboy Pillow Company and from you, where would I go do that?
You can follow me on Twitter. I'm just twitter.com/Roberto Hoyos, RobertoHoyos, and also at Throwboy on Twitter. And what about you?
I'm at Airfon on Twitter. And, I was just going to check real fast to see if we got any new iTunes reviews.
Oh, we do.
Oh, should we read it? One or two real quick?
Sure.
Of course, my flipping...
God, I hate iTunes 11.
So, I actually don't mind it, but where the hell is the store?
Down. Up. Podcasts.
No, that's my podcast,
I know, but you can go to, like, there, I think, right? Catalog.
Oh, that's how you do it.
Oh, it's so bad, dude. The
Well, I just go to show sidebar. Show sidebar.
The terminology on the podcast app on the phone calls the podcast directory, formerly known as the podcast directory, the store. And on your thing right there, on your computer, it just called it podcast categories or something like that. There's no language for what it's actually called. It's so
Dude,
stupid.
don't say the name of this, but speaking of podcasts that are popular, they're terrible.
Yeah.
That one. Oh my! I tried to listen to it. I'm like, this is so popular, so bad, so bad. It's just surprising sometimes to listen to. It's called the cult. The Crawltcast. All right, so here, do we got a new review here?
Yeah.
We got 33 5-star reviews.
You have to hit this.
Cool. Let's go to newest first, most recent.
We got a new one.
Fantastic. It'll be short too. This is from Heart You Guys. Great show. Learn a lot about new apps.
No, it's not. It says Heart You Guys, and his name is...
Oh! That's the title of the review. Heart You Guys by Gilbob. Great show. Learn a lot about new apps and new tech stuff. Thanks, Airfun, for plugging it on the Cultcast.
How about that? Maybe
How
you should
about
plug
it?
our show.
It's funny when I do, I usually like half mumble it because I'm
Yeah.
like, and I do this on that podcast called Cultcast, and maybe you should listen to it or watch it. So cool. Thanks for that review. If you guys like our show, please leave us a review on iTunes, preferably a 5-star review. As you can see, we make no money from this show. We survive solely off the praise of the people who like it. So thanks a lot for leaving us a good review. Also, if you're not subscribed to us on iTunes, please do that. It's a great way to see our show without having to go download it every time we release it. Plus, you can visit us on YouTube. That's youtube.com/
user-friendly show.
I almost just said the Cultcast. I'm
don't even have that.
I'm just going to spiel mode now.
Yeah.
Just saying whatever comes to mind first. yeah, if you don't want to download the show, you can watch it there. Am I forgetting anything?
And subscribe there.
And subscribe there. Thank you. Yes.
No, my friend, I think that we're done.
Okay, so until next time, this has been User Friendly, the best video podcast you're going to watch on the internet all week long. New episodes of User Friendly come out every Thursday day.
We will see you
And we'll see you guys next time.
I always say all week schlong.
All week schlong.